Hello, I'm the Romance Scrooge. When I first started working on this particular sketchbook in 2018, I was going by the pseudonym Cosme, short for Cosme Marshmallow. It's kind of a take on or permutation of what name I go by in real life, but I'd rather not share what that is for privacy reasons. A lot of the sketchbook is going to look like dramatically different and experimental art styles and stuff. When I was originally working on this in 2018, I was going for a more realistic or semi realistic or anime esque art style. And my primary focus was fine liner pens and working on cross hatching. I kind of dropped working on this particular sketchbook back in late 2018 or 2019. And since I've been doing a few more art videos or sharing my progress with sketchbooks and stuff, I decided why not take another crack at this? Why not see if I can finish another one? Because I'm finished at least one last year, and I'm pretty happy and excited about that because that's usually not the case. I have a big pile of unfinished sketchbooks sitting around. I'm really close to finishing this one in particular, but there's at least 4 pages left. And I thought it might be a fun deviation from what I usually do with these to ask anyone that enjoys looking at these or just looking at my art in general, whether it's on DeviantArt, Tumblr, um, what few what few images I post in the YouTube community section. Yeah, I post some of my art there sometimes, but not all the time. I'd like some suggestions or feedback on how to finish this particular sketchbook. So if you have any suggestions, feel free to shout it out. It'd really help with YouTube algorithm bullshit. Just, yeah, I thought it'd be a fun or slightly different thing from what I usually do with this kind of video. From 2018 to 2019, my primary or my preferred art media were pens and scrapbook paper. This one in particular is drawn on scrapbook paper. I cut it out and glued it in there. I like to switch between fine liners and ballpoint pens. I used a lot of gel pens for a while too to try and do some interesting or create some interesting effects. This was one of my attempts, or this is probably going to be one of the standouts in the sketchbook since it was one of my attempts to create something more realistic looking or trying to do something a bit more ambitious with ballpoint pen than what I do with a lot of these other ones. A lot of these other ones are ballpoint pen with some pops or touches of color. I was also starting to really get back into The Sims 2 when I started working on this, hence why there's going to be a few different Sims portraits that pop up throughout here. This is probably when I was starting to get into Eldritch stuff, or playing with the idea of how would I draw an Eldritch creature, or how can I try and recreate Junji Ito's um Junji Ito's art style, or what kind of crazy detail he can get with pen. Like, what does my take on that look like? Here's another Sims portrait right here. The previous one was Dina. This is her sister Nina. I thought it'd be fun to add a few extra details like the heart-shaped glasses, and I could totally see Nina getting some rose tattoos or something. This particular sketch spread was inspired by the song by the group Everything But the Girl. Um, I Miss You like the deserts miss the rain. That was more of this part of it than this particular side of it, though. I'd like to revisit this at some point and give it another go, because that face looks so wonky to me. Here's another motif I like to play with every once in a while. The idea of somebody's face or body having holes or being a home for fey creatures and stuff. There's another sketchbook where where I'm playing with the concept like that. Here's another collage type thing. I didn't have a specific idea in mind other than I'm going to practice hands and I'm going to do something interesting with it. So pretty much a bunch of hands coming out of portals and layering them for some kind of weird, surreal, horrifying effect. Loki Beaker, rendered on cardstock, since that can handle the abuse of me pushing down way too hard with Prismacolors. Cersei Beaker went for more. I was trying to go for comic book style there, the block shading. Doing interesting stuff with washi tape. I found some washi tape that was just sakura petals. This is supposed to be a dramatic, symbolic take on Hanahaki. That's a fandom thing. Woman with long, flowy hair. Attempted drawing a portrait. This is a different pose, or from the same photo set that I did with a sketch earlier that had a red background with it. These were pretty much drawing specifically from reference or stock photos. This is around the time I started picking the sketchbook back up again in late 2025. But rather than continue drawing realistic stuff, I switched to drawing very cartoony art. It's kind of taking some notes from my buddy SR on how he approaches like pencil and pen sketches. Draw out the sketch, line it with fine liner, and then come back and color it in with colored pencils. Yeah, you're gonna be seeing a lot of these two. And I think you're going to be seeing a lot more of them. For anyone hoping for more of my original characters, this is probably the last time I draw them in this particular sketchbook. I think I want to make a video specifically talking about or covering them at some point. This was a redraw or recreation of a previous sketch spread I've done with Red Action, pretty much redrawing another outfit idea I came up with her. Really love the idea of her with the NASA shirt. I don't remember why I did that. Also, really like the idea of a Letterman jacket based on Lakewood Plaza Turbo in particular. I think I might come back to that. I think I had some plans on taking this concept and drawing other characters in the Letterman jacket, just haven't come back around to it yet. This is another redraw of another fan art I did back in 2018. Pretty much the idea of Rad and Enid having fun and screwing around in a photo booth, and then at least one with Rad and Raymond. Yep, that's my favorite Rad ship. This is my fan character, pretty much. Yeah. I don't know if I've mentioned this anywhere besides Tumblr, but this particular iteration, or I plan on changing my mascot character from Scrooge to something else at some point. They've pretty much taken on, or I've done enough with them as a fan character with OKKO stuff that I kind of just like them as a fan character that I stick wherever I want if I want a fan character and they'd fit in with that particular universe. I like that better than them being just a self-representation or a YouTube mascot. I want to move on or use a different character for that. I don't remember what exactly inspired this. It was probably the grilled cheese aspiration in Sims 2 and getting a big kick out of drawing Professor Venomous with really upset or disgruntled looking faces. I have this as my avatar, or I had this as my avatar for a while. More of these two. I was playing with the idea of them in different, various dance poses, learning how to dance and being cutesy and stuff. More Scrooge here. Yes, I do more than OCX canon with this. They do have another fan character that is there. I intended for these two, or for Volupta here, to be Scrooge's main love interest, or who I'd pair them up with more often. I thought it'd be absolutely hilarious if Cupid's rival was dating his daughter. Volupta is a lesser known Greek goddess. I took a lot of creative license here. And the butterfly wings are inspired by her mother, Psyche. I didn't think that'd be too far-fetched or too much of a stretch. That she'd have her butterfly wings are, yeah, this is a fan interpretation on an existing Greek god, and I've taken a lot of creative license with her in general. I think I'll save a bigger discussion about her for a video talking about fan characters or OCs, though. Here's more of Red Action. I've seen a few different people commenting that they think Elodie is a really underrated character, and I honestly agree. I would have liked to see more of her in the show, and yeah, I ended up drawing this out because I want this interaction so bad. I want to see these two playing off of each other and just being dorks and just I don't know. I like to think that those two would be friends. More Boxman stuff. I really like. Yeah, this is probably a theme you've seen pop up a few different times and is going to keep popping up. Boxman as a mermaid. Weather card is my OTP for Deltarune stuff. I drew those around the time that Chapter 3 had just come out, or around then. OCX canon stuff with Scrooge and Venomous. That can just speak for itself. More Boxman and Venomous stuff. This is loosely connected to a fanfic that I really need to write the last chapters for, called Boxman's Big Fairy Tale Wedding. More weather card stuff because I love the dynamic of these three sharing a brain cell. And I was playing with the idea that I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what a bickering sitcom throuple dynamic would look like for these three. I want it to be like good-natured. Like, they like each other, they just kind of lightly bicker. I'll figure that out eventually, but yeah. These are outfit designs I was coming up with for my character, Joy. The premise for her is that she's a seamstress that likes to put together her own clothes, and she really likes Victorian-inspired stuff. She's not somebody that sticks to strict historical accuracy, and honestly, I went with that so I could have or design outfits with the Victorian flair and not get too much flack from people who know what they're talking about. They're historically inaccurate on purpose. If I ever try to design something for this character that's supposed to be historically accurate, yeah, I'm probably going to ask somebody for extra notes that's really into that. And yeah. This is Sunny, another one of my characters. My main design philosophy for her is that she's always wearing some kind of off-shoulder top. This is Mari. Some kind of turtleneck and skirt combo. That's what I go with for her. I also try to go for she could be a model if she wanted to, kind of tall and statuesque. This is my one trans mask character, or the one trans mask OC I have so far that isn't connected to fandom stuff. He's Merlin. He's Mari's boyfriend. And he really likes 70s or 70s style fashion and aesthetics. He also has long hair and paints his nails. I'm hoping to come up with a trans mask character that doesn't lean so much into femme gender expression. But yeah, actually I'm hoping to design a trans mask character that has more of a boxman build to him. Yeah, trying to wrap that back around into what kind of commentary I'm making here so it actually matches what I'm showing. I love the idea that PV would be absolutely hopeless with the video game controller, but he'd try anyway, just because he wants bonding time with Fink. This is another fan character. This is my fan design for Boxman's mom. I know that in show there's like portraits of her, and it looks like it'd be Boxman in drag kind of thing, sort of similar to his roots as an Eggman or Robotnik XB, but yeah, I'm gonna stay on this for a second. I wanted a little bit more personality than that, and I went with the idea of kid dumps out a bunch of toys and glues things together in a Transformer-esque kind of way, because it's OKKO and I could do that, and I thought it'd be fun. This is another fan character. I'm still trying to come up with a definite character design for him. His name is Tony / the Iron Butterfly. He's my fan-made take on who was in charge of Point before Foxtail. And he shows up in a bunch of fanfics and stuff. This was part of an art trade I did with somebody. It's their character. This is another art trade I did with Fabulous Glabulous over on Tumblr. I'm going to put a link to her art or her blog in the description below if you want to know more about these characters. I don't think I could describe them or do them justice, so I'd rather leave a link so you can find out for yourself. This is more Scrooge. Finally figured out how to draw them looking like a gremlin. Like a gremlin with unkempt hair that doesn't get enough sleep. These were tentative mock-ups or designs for a title card for one of my siblings' plays. I actually had the finished version right here. This is an art commission they asked me to put together. more Scrooge stuff. I kind of had this horrible 3 a.m. idea. What if they had a mouth in their chest? Or what if they had a belly mouth? Yeah, I think at least a good fourth of this sketchbook is Voxman stuff. Same thing with my blogs and pretty much every other kind of content I post on the internet anymore. I don't feel like seeing a lot of these guys because that's probably going to be most of my art and content. I'm going to slow down on how many videos I make about these guys and cover other topics for a while. Since, yeah, but the art stuff, yeah, there's probably going to be plenty more of these guys. I am probably going to do a very general flip through these because these were Spamton sketches I put together for a thoughts on Spamton antenna video I put together. I'm going to go ahead and leave a link to that below. I'd appreciate it if you'd check that out. If you like the look of this art and want my 10 cents on Spamton antenna. Yeah, if you want my 10 cents on these two goofballs right here, you'll find it there. I think this particular series of sketches led to a difference in how I'm drawing some of my art now. I've gotten a bit more loosey-goosey with how I draw hands. Like, if you look at my previous sketches with hands, most of them are relatively defined, or I try to make sure all the fingers are distinctive. Now I'm just like, I kind of like OKKO's approach to drawing hands for really cartoony looking stuff. It, like, having the general shape or it looking like a mitt or something. I think in some circumstances, like these really loose sketch spreads and stuff, it works just fine. For context on this is a sketch page commission I did for Pedanticat of Luo and Cyan from To Be Hero. I still really want to check this out. I've heard good things about that particular anime. Also, shameless plug, I'm going to leave a link to my commissions, or sketch commissions, in the description below. And here we are at the most recent and the last thing I've drawn in this particular sketchbook. Yes, I ship Chris and Birdley. I think they're adorable. Just a lot of the fan art sold me. Just an excuse to draw Birdley being a complete dork and Chris being a gremlin. I think I'm going to take another crack at drawing these two with Chris being less flustered and being more chaos gremlin. Like, more of that scene, like trying to get the Birdley equivalent of what them and Susie drinking punch like a couple of gremlins. That particular scene, those two just the goblin energy that Susie and Chris have. I want to bring that to other Chris dynamics. So yeah, probably going to see it with Birdley, probably with Noelle if I can figure out an idea that fits. Just, yeah, I like this little chaos gremlin. They're great. Left to my own devices, the last 2 pages are probably going to be more Chris and Birdley stuff. If you have other suggestions, say it now before it ends up being Chris and Birdley or Chris and Noelle or whatever ridiculous stuff I come up with. When I do, I'll try to record like a montage of sketching to this general result. Like, I'm fine with sharing that. I'm not sure how I'd record or go about showing my process for more fully rendered pieces yet, but hopefully I'll work up the confidence to get there.